The galaxy of Aridex was no stranger to conflict. For centuries, the coalition of Zarnak had enforced a brutal peace across its sectors, a peace maintained through overwhelming firepower and ruthless diplomacy. Their war fleet was legendary, swift, precise, and merciless. So when the sensor arrays first detected an unknown ship entering their territory without transmitting identification or intention, the fleet sprang to readiness. Admiral Vrek stood on the bridge of the flagship Vostrix, eyes scanning the holographic displays that flickered with data streams and tactical readouts. The ship's massive silhouette loomed in the dark space ahead, jagged, angular, and strangely primitive compared to the sleek crystalline ships of the Coalition. Its hull was battered, scarred with pockmarks and burn marks from countless past battles. "Unknown vessel approaching Sector 9B12, reported Lieutenant Corrin, his voice steady but laced with apprehension. No response to hails, no identification, signals. Vrek's mandibles twitched in irritation. "Unknown vessels do not belong in Coalition space unannounced," he growled. "Prepare to engage. Lock weapons and await my command." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Energy, cannons powered up, missile bays opened, and drone squadrons readied for launch. The Vostrix pulsed with lethal potential, the living heart of the Coalition's military might. Across the fleet, the other commanders mirrored the same grim determination. The unknown ship was an insult, a challenge to the Coalition's iron rule. The assumption was clear: destroy first, ask questions never. But as the seconds ticked by, a strange tension settled over the fleet. The unknown ship made no move to flee or attack. It drifted steadily, almost arrogantly, into the heart of the Coalition's defensive perimeter. "Commander Vrek," Corrin said, frowning. "The ship's engines just activated, but not to flee or fight. It's maneuvering. No, it's performing evasive patterns. The energy signature is unusual. There's a low hum of power, but it's unlike any propulsion tech we know." "Show me," Vrek ordered. On the main viewports, the ship shifted smoothly, weaving between missile locks and energy blasts with an almost casual grace. Where other ships might have panicked under fire, this vessel danced effortlessly through the hail of attacks, shrugging off weapons that should have ripped it apart. A collective murmur rippled through the bridge. The humans had heard stories, old war tales of a species once primitive but stubborn, feared more for their will than their technology. Still, no one had expected this. "Sir, it's reacting too fast for its apparent tech level," Corrin said, eyes wide. "It's almost as if it's alive." "Alive?" Vrek scoffed. "It's a ship, not a beast." But even as he spoke, the doubt gnawed at him. No ship should survive this long under fire with such battered armor. No ship should be able to anticipate missile trajectories so precisely. The unknown vessel was forcing the Coalition fleet into a state of confusion, an unspoken fear. "Open a channel," Vrek commanded, voice sharper now. Static buzzed through the communication consoles before a voice came through, calm, steady, and distinctly human. "This is Captain Sarah Malik of the human ship Dauntless," the voice said. "We do not seek conflict. We come as survivors, not conquerors." A hush fell over the bridge. "Survivors?" Vrek repeated, eyes narrowing. "On my mark, prepare to fire. We will see if their words match their actions." But the Dauntless did not attack. Instead, it held position, its battered hull glowing, faintly with an unknown energy. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken questions and rising tension. Some in the fleet whispered that humanity was mad, reckless to enter hostile space unarmed and unafraid. Others suspected a trap, a cunning ploy to lower the Coalition's guard. But for Admiral Vrek, the truth was something else entirely. This was a challenge unlike any he had faced, not a test of weapons, but a test of will. The human ship, with all its scars and defiance, was a shadow in the void that refused to be ignored. And as the Dauntless hovered silently among the stars, one thing was clear: the battle that was about to begin would change everything. The bridge of the Vostrix buzzed with tension, Every crew member's eyes locked on the imposing silhouette of the human ship Dauntless. The massive vessel drifted steadily, its battered hull illuminated by distant stars. The scars on its surface told tales of countless battles, fierce encounters where the ship had endured damage that would cripple lesser vessels. Yet here it floated, seemingly unbothered by the Coalition fleet's aggressive posturing. Admiral, Vrek's mandibles clenched. Weapons are primed. Target systems locked. Wait for my order. The human ship remained motionless for a heartbeat longer. Then, without warning, the Dauntless flared its engines. The blasts of energy lit up the void and the ship surged forward. Not away, but deeper into Coalition space. Captain Malik's ship is not fleeing, Lieutenant Corrin noted, voice tight. She's advancing. The fleet's squadron scrambled to respond, missiles streaking toward the Dauntless. The Coalition had faced many enemies, each trying to outmaneuver or outgun their fleet, but none had dared to charge headfirst into the heart of their territory like this. Evasive maneuvers, Wreck barked. But the Dauntless moved with uncanny precision. Its massive hull twisted and turned, dodging missile volleys with grace that defied its size. Energy pulses rippled over its surface, dissipating incoming blasts before impact. Impossible, whispered one young officer, eyes wide in disbelief. Another volley launched, targeting the ship's engines and weapon bays. The missiles neared. Then, one by one, were shredded in midair by swarms of tiny drones deploying from the Dauntless. They're using drones, Corrin exclaimed. Small, fast, and coordinated, destroying missiles before they get close. Wreck's jaw tightened. Deploy countermeasures. Launch drone interceptors. A swarm of Coalition drones exploded from the Vostrix, engaging the human drones in a deadly dance of destruction. The void filled with flashes of energy as metal met metal, and the human drones held their ground, outmaneuvering Coalition interceptors with eerie synchronization. Report on shield status, Wreck demanded. Shields holding strong, came the reply. Energy fluctuations unlike any standard power source, almost organic. Wreck frowned. Organic? Are they using biotech? Before an answer could come, the Dauntless unleashed its own counterattack, a focused energy blast that disabled several of the fleet's forward missile batteries. The Coalition's weapon systems flickered and went dark. System failure, shouted one technician. Our weapons are offline. Focus fire on their command bridge, Freck roared. But the humans were already gone. The Dauntless disappeared into the thick asteroid belt bordering the sector. The Coalition fleet surged after it, but the human ship's movements were impossible to predict. It slipped through tight spaces, darted between massive rocks, and vanished at will. Captain Malik is using the environment to her advantage, Corrin observed, turning natural cover into a defensive maze. Freck felt a rare pang of uncertainty. How can a ship, so battered and primitive, survive such an onslaught? On the Dauntless, Captain Sarah Malik stood on her bridge, calm amidst the chaos. Her crew moved with quiet efficiency, their eyes sharp and ready. The ship's controls hummed beneath her fingertips as she guided them through the asteroid field. We're bait, she murmured. They expect us to fight, but we're here to test their spirit, not just their firepower. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jamal Chen, glanced at her. What then, Captain? How do we win without a fight? Malik smiled faintly. By showing them what humans are made of. Back on the Vostrix, Wreck's voice came over the comms. All units, halt pursuit. Prepare to open communication. We need to understand what we're dealing with. A sudden silence fell across the fleet. Then the Dauntless re-emerged from the asteroid belt, its damaged hull gleaming with defiance. It broadcast a new message, a single phrase repeated in the Coalition's tongue. We do not seek to fight. We seek to survive. Wreck stared at the screen. For the first time in his career, he hesitated. This was no ordinary enemy. This was something else, something that challenged every preconception the Coalition held about power, war, and survival, and the Dauntless, the human ship, had just announced its arrival. Silence filled the Vostrix's bridge after the human message faded from the comms. The simple phrase echoed in the minds of every officer aboard. We do not seek to fight. We seek to survive. Admiral Rex mandibles twitched in frustration. The message was neither a threat nor a plea. It was something foreign, something unsettling. Open a direct channel, Rex ordered. I want to speak to this Captain Malik. Now. Corin's fingers danced over the console, trying to stabilize. The link. After tense moments, the flickering static cleared, and a holographic figure appeared on the bridge. It was a woman, human, unmistakably so, with sharp eyes that radiated calm confidence. Her uniform was worn but clean, and her posture spoke of experience and unshakable resolve. Admiral Rex, she said, voice steady, I am Captain Sarah Malik of the human ship Dauntless. We are survivors from a distant star system. We do not wish to battle your fleet. The alien commanders exchanged skeptical glances. Rex narrowed his eyes. Your ship invaded our space? Without permission. Your silence and evasive maneuvers are acts of aggression. Explain yourself. Malik's gaze did not waver. We crossed your borders to seek refuge and understanding. Our own galaxy has fallen into ruin. We carry knowledge and experience born from struggle that forged us into a people who refuse to surrender. Corin whispered beside Rex. Their speech. It carries a conviction I've never heard before. It's as if they believe their survival is a cause greater than conquest or diplomacy. Explain your power, Rex demanded, voice hardening. Your technology is inferior, your ship battered, yet you evade us like ghosts and disable our weapons with ease. What is your secret? Malik glanced briefly at her officers before answering. Our strength is not in technology alone. It is in our will, the will to survive against all odds. We adapt, we endure, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. Our ship reflects that philosophy. Rex's mandibles clicked sharply. Philosophy does not stop a missile from destroying a ship. No, Malik admitted, but it guides how we build our ships, how we fight, and how we live. We don't rely on overwhelming power. We rely on resilience, innovation, and unity. Our drones are extensions of our crew, synchronized through adaptive AI and human intuition. Our shields learn and respond, not just absorb damage. A ripple of murmurs spread across the Vostrix's bridge. The human's explanation was both baffling and intriguing. Why come here? Why risk entering a hostile zone without full force? Rex pressed. Malik's eyes softened. Because survival is no longer about weapons or territory. It is about alliances, about understanding other species and learning from them. Our galaxy is dying, but yours is vast and rich. Together we could face threats no one species can face alone. Threats? Rex repeated, suspicious. What threats do you speak of? Beyond your sensors, Malik said quietly. There are ancient predators. Beings older than stars lurking in the dark spaces between galaxies. They consume entire systems without mercy. We have fought them and barely survived. We came here seeking allies, not enemies. The bridge was silent. The coalition had always believed in their dominion over space, their strength unchallenged. The idea of a predator more fearsome than their combined fleets was unthinkable. Yet in Malik's steady gaze, there was no hint of fear, only a call to action. Your fleet outmatches us in firepower, Malik continued, but firepower alone won't save you from what's coming. Only cooperation, resilience, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to fall can face the darkness. Rex's mind raced. The human's story defied everything he knew about power and survival. He saw not a desperate foe, but a determined people who had been tested in ways the coalition could scarcely imagine. Still, duty bound him. You expect us to lower our weapons based on words alone? No, Malik said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. We expect you to judge us by what we do next. At that moment, the Dauntless powered down its shields and weapons, its massive hull glowing faintly with a steady, peaceful light. It floated in the void, unarmed and exposed, an act that would have been madness for any other species. Rex, mandibles twitched again, not in anger but in something close to respect. The human ship's audacity was clear. They trusted in their will, in their word, more than in guns or force. And that trust unsettled the coalition commanders. For the first time, the ancient order of war fleets faced a new equation. Could the human spirit be a force stronger than any weapon? The silence on the Vostrix's bridge was heavier than any battle cry. The massive human ship, the Dauntless, had powered down its shields and weapons, floating unarmed in the dead silence of space. It was a challenge, a declaration of trust in the middle of enemy territory. Admiral Rex's mandibles clicked in slow, contemplative rhythm. Around him, his officers exchanged uncertain glances. Weapons powered down was a move no other species had dared to make in the face of the Coalition's overwhelming fleet. "Scan their systems again?" Rex ordered, voice low. "I want to know everything about their tech. How do they survive? How do they disable our weapons?" Corrin's fingers flew across the console. "I'm detecting something unusual, sir. The energy shields they use don't just absorb damage, they adapt. Our weapons fire at a frequency optimized to penetrate armor, but their shields reconfigure almost instantaneously to counter it." "Explain," Freck demanded. "It's like their shield system learns. It predicts attacks based on incoming data and evolves its energy matrix. It's unlike any static shield we've encountered. It's almost as if it's alive." "Alive," Rex repeated, the word tasting strange. "Is this biological tech?" "Not exactly. It's a hybrid system, part machine, part organic. Our scans show neural networks intertwined with nanomaterials. It's not common tech, it's a form of adaptive intelligence integrated into their ship's structure." Rex's eyes narrowed. "And the drones?" "They're even more impressive," Corrin replied. "The drones swarm with perfect coordination. No centralized control we can detect. They anticipate threats, counter in real time, and self-repair on the fly. It's a hive mind driven by AI but clearly linked to human operators, the fusion of human intuition with machine precision." The room filled with stunned silence. No, humans had no vast fleets of gleaming warships, no overwhelming numbers. Their power lay in adaptability, something no other species had mastered to this degree. Suddenly, the human ship's bridge flickered to life on the Coalition's view screens. Captain Sarah Malik's face appeared again, calm and steady. "We understand your hesitation," Malik said. "We expect you to be wary, but know this, our ship is more than steel and circuits. It is a symbol of our history, our resilience." Freck gestured sharply. "Explain." Malik's eyes held a quiet fire. "Our homeworld was nearly destroyed in wars of our own making. We lost entire continents to environmental collapse. Our enemies were both within and beyond. Yet humanity survived because we adapted. Our technology is built on lessons learned from survival, not conquest." She paused, then added, "We don't seek to overpower others. We seek to endure, together." On the Vostrix, murmurs spread. The human philosophy was alien to the Coalition's doctrine of domination. "Captain Malik," Rex said carefully, "your resilience is impressive, but how can you expect to convince an entire fleet to stand down without showing strength?" Malik smiled, a brief, genuine curve of her lips. "Strength isn't just weapons or numbers, Admiral. It's willpower, ingenuity, and unity. Watch." Suddenly, the Dauntless's engines flared. Without warning, a pulse of energy rippled out from its hull, a wave of interference that knocked the Coalition's targeting systems offline. Missile locks wavered and dissolved. Communications scrambled, leaving the fleet momentarily blind and deaf. Corrin shouted, "Our systems are failing. The interference, it's disabling our weapons and sensors." "Shields back online." Another voice called out, "But the disruption lingers." Rex's claws tightened on the armrest. "They're not just defending, they're controlling the battlefield." The Dauntless moved again, this time weaving through the fleet with surgical precision. Its drones extended outward like swarms of metallic hornets, intercepting incoming attacks and disabling enemy weaponry without causing destruction. "It's a surgical strike," Corrin observed. "They neutralize, not destroy." "Why?" Freck wondered aloud. Malik's voice echoed in the comms again. Because we fight to preserve life, not end it. Because we believe that the true strength of a species is shown in what it protects, not what it destroys. As the Dauntless continued its dance through the fleet, Rex saw the faces of his commanders change. Doubt, curiosity, even admiration flickered where once there had been only contempt. The Coalition's overwhelming firepower had met something it couldn't crush, not because the humans were invincible, but because their power was something else entirely: adaptability, unity, and an unyielding spirit. "Stand down weapons," Rex commanded, voice heavy with newfound respect. "Lower your arms. This is not a fight we can win through force alone." The fleet obeyed hesitantly, but the tension eased. The humans had forced the Coalition to see them not as a threat to be eradicated, but as equals worthy of respect. As the Dauntless floated quietly among the stars, Rex realized something profound. This encounter was not just a battle, it was a turning point. The humans had shown a strength that no technology alone could replicate. Their unseen power was in their indomitable will. And that power was a force the galaxy would soon have to reckon with. The alien commanders gathered in a tense council chamber aboard the flagship Vostrix. The holographic image of Captain Sarah Malik flickered in the center, a symbol of something new, something unsettling. Vrek had called this meeting to decide the fate of the humans, friend or foe. Malik spoke calmly, her voice carrying the weight of a history far older and harsher than the Coalition had imagined. "Your technology is superior in many ways," she said. "Your fleets are vast and powerful, but the strength that has kept humanity alive is not found in weapons or shields. It's in our history." A murmur rippled through the room. Vrek leaned forward, mandibles twitching with curiosity. "Tell us," he commanded. Malik's gaze hardened. "Our story is one of near extinction. For centuries, humans ravaged their own planet. Wars destroyed cities. Environmental disasters followed, famines, plagues, betrayals. Our ancestors faced annihilation from within and without." She paused, allowing the gravity of her words to settle. "But humanity survived, because we refused to give up. We adapted. We innovated. When entire ecosystems collapsed, we engineered new ones. When leaders failed, new ones rose from the ashes. When technology was lost, we rebuilt it, better and stronger." The room was silent. The aliens, proud of their own histories of conquest and survival, were struck by the raw truth in Malik's voice. "Our ships reflect that legacy," she continued. "We don't build weapons for dominance, we build tools for endurance. Our drones are crafted to protect and preserve, not just to destroy. Our shields learn from every attack, evolving because we have no choice but to evolve." Lieutenant Corrin spoke quietly to Rek. "Their resilience is born of desperation and hope, combined, a combination we have not seen before." Vrek nodded slowly. "Their history gives context to their unusual strength." Malik's hologram shifted slightly. "We are not alone in our struggles. Across the galaxy, other species face extinction, through war, hunger, or cosmic disasters. We came here not to conquer, but to find allies. Together we can face threats no one species can face alone." "Threats beyond the known galaxy," Rex said thoughtfully. Malik's eyes gleamed. "Yes. Ancient predators that consume whole systems, remnants of cosmic chaos older than your records. We have fought them. We have barely survived." A senior commander, Krell, scoffed. "And you expect us to believe your stories?" Malik met his gaze evenly. "I expect you to judge us by what we do next." The hologram faded. The room buzzed with debate. "What do we make of this human resolve?" Corrin asked. Vrek's mandibles clicked. "It is a weapon we cannot ignore, a weapon forged by hardship, tempered by unity." A plan began to form in his mind. "We will not strike first. We will observe and learn. But we will hold our weapons ready." Across the void, the Dauntless floated like a battered titan, a testament to a species that had faced destruction and chose survival instead of surrender. "Captain." Malik's crew moved with quiet efficiency. Around her, they shared the stories of their people, stories of triumph and tragedy that fueled their unyielding spirit. Lieutenant Jamal Chen approached Malik. "Do you think they will accept us?" She looked out at the stars beyond their battered hull. "Not yet, but we've made them see something they never expected. That alone is a victory." As the Dauntless waited, the galaxy shifted. The story of humanity, scarred, relentless, hopeful, was becoming a beacon that might just light the way through the darkness ahead. The bridge of the Vostrix hummed with cautious activity. Admiral Vrek sat quietly, his many eyes fixed on the still-floating human ship, the Dauntless, like a wary predator studying a strange new creature. The Council's decision had been made. Humanity would not be destroyed on sight. Instead, tentative communications would begin. A hush fell over the room as the communication channel activated. Captain Malik's hologram appeared once again, resolute and calm. "Admiral Vrek," Malik began, "thank you for opening this channel. We hope this is the first step toward understanding." Vrek inclined his head. "Captain Malik, the Coalition has agreed to temporary ceasefire. You may send an envoy to our flagship to discuss terms of cooperation." Behind Vrek, officers whispered nervously. This was uncharted territory. The Coalition had always relied on superiority and conquest. Now, diplomacy and trust would be their weapons. Malik nodded. "We accept. We come in peace." Within hours, a shuttle detached from the Dauntless carrying a small delegation, humans and Coalition representatives alike. As the shuttle docked, Vrek felt the weight of history settling around him. The fate of countless worlds hinged on what happened next. The human envoy disembarked first, Captain Malik, Lieutenant Jamal Chen, and their tactical officer, Arya Singh. They moved with the same quiet confidence they had displayed aboard their ship. Vrek met them in the Vostrix's main conference chamber. The room was vast and sterile, but today it seemed charged with potential. "Welcome," Vrek said formally. "We are prepared to listen." Malik bowed slightly. "And we are prepared to share." Jamal stepped forward. "We want to understand your Coalition, and for you to understand us, our histories, our strengths, and the threats we face." Krell, the skeptical commander, narrowed his eyes. "Why should we trust a species that entered our space unannounced, that disabled our weapons with tricks we cannot yet comprehend?" Arya spoke calmly. "Because trust is not given. It is earned. We do not ask for blind faith, but for a chance to prove ourselves." The Coalition Council members exchanged glances, the room thick with tension. Vrek raised a claw. "Very well. Let us begin." Hours passed as stories were shared. The humans spoke of their fractured past, their relentless rebuilding, their unyielding spirit. The Coalition offered accounts of their own expansive history. Wars won, alliances forged, empires built. Though different in many ways, common ground emerged, survival against overwhelming odds. Both species bore scars, both had tasted loss. Still, doubt lingered. During a break, Vrek approached Malik privately. "Your people's resilience is undeniable, yet I worry. How can such fragile beings endure the cosmic dangers you spoke of?" Malik smiled, a touch of warmth breaking through her stoic facade. "We endure because we choose to. We fight not just for ourselves, but for those who cannot. Our spirit is fragile, but our will is unbreakable." Vrek considered her words. "Then perhaps your species will be a valuable ally." As talks continued, a new threat loomed. Coalition sensors detected an anomaly near the sector's edge. Massive energy readings unlike anything recorded before. An ancient predator, just as Malik had warned. The Dauntless's crew prepared, their unyielding spirit ignited by the coming danger. Vrek addressed both crews. "This threat may destroy us all if we do not stand together. Our survival depends on unity." Malik nodded. "Let this be the first battle we fight as allies." The seeds of alliance were sown, not through domination, but through respect and shared struggle. In the depths of space, a battered human ship and a proud alien fleet faced the darkness, bound by hope, resilience, and the unyielding will to survive. The vast emptiness of space suddenly felt suffocating. The Coalition fleet and the Dauntless drifted side by side, an uneasy alliance forged in hope, but tested by uncertainty. Sensors across the combined forces picked up the ominous readings. A colossal energy signature growing rapidly approaching their sector. Admiral Vrek stood on the bridge of the Vostrix, eyes sharp as the readings streamed in. "What is that thing?" His voice was a low growl. Lieutenant Corrin tapped the console rapidly. "Unknown, sir." The energy readings matched the descriptions Captain Malik gave. Ancient predators, entities from beyond the stars. "They consume everything in their path, Captain." Malik's voice crackled through the comms, steady and commanding. "These creatures are survivors of a universe older than ours. They prey on civilizations, devouring stars and planets alike. They are relentless and merciless." The fleet tightened formation as the energy signature loomed larger on the horizon, a shadow darker than the void itself, a monstrous shape that twisted light and sucked at the very fabric of space. Krell, the skeptical Coalition commander, spat. "So we fight monsters we barely understand, with an enemy species we just agreed to trust. What could possibly go wrong?" Vrek's gaze burned. "Everything depends on this alliance. If we fall divided, we will all be consumed." Malik's ship, though battered, seemed to pulse with renewed life, its shields glowing with that strange, adaptive energy. "We fight as one," she declared. Suddenly alarms blared. The ancient predator released a wave of energy, an attack that rippled through the fleet's defenses, momentarily disabling sensors and communications. "Shields, holding at 60%, Corrin reported. We're under direct assault." Missiles and energy blasts fired back, but the creature's mass was overwhelming. Its surface shimmered with energy fields that absorbed damage and reflected attacks. The predator moved with terrifying grace, its tendrils extending to crush ships and disrupt fleet formations. The Dauntless surged forward, deploying swarms of drones that buzzed like metallic hornets. The drones worked in harmony with the Coalition fighters, targeting weak points on the Predator's armor. Malik's voice crackled with urgency. "Keep focus on coordinated strikes. Our drones can disrupt its energy fields if we maintain pressure." Reki coordinated his fleet's firepower with Malik's tactics, the two forces learning to move as one. The ancient predator thrashed, wounded but far from defeated. Suddenly, a massive shockwave rippled through space. Several ships were caught in its blast, their hulls cracked and systems failing. Rek's claws clenched. "We can't hold much longer." At that moment, Lieutenant Jamal Chen reported, "Captain, our drones have penetrated its core defenses. We're seeing fluctuations in its energy fields. If we can exploit this, we might turn the tide." Malik's eyes narrowed. "Focus all fire on the core. We must disable it before it consumes more of the fleet." The combined fleet concentrated their fire. The ancient predator roared, an unearthly sound that echoed through the void as its core shimmered, destabilizing. One final barrage struck, and the beast convulsed violently before collapsing into a cloud of dissipating energy. Silence followed, deep, heavy, filled with relief and exhaustion. Vrek exhaled slowly. "We survived." Malik allowed herself a small smile. "Because we fought together." The Coalition fleet, battered but unbroken, began repairs. The humans worked alongside their former foes, sharing technology, stories, and hope. Vrek approached Malik on the bridge. "Your people's will is indeed a force unlike any I have known." Malik nodded. "And your strength in numbers and strategy complements our resilience. Together, we are more than we were apart." As the stars shimmered around them, a new era dawned, a fragile alliance forged not through domination or submission, but through respect, unity, and the shared will to survive. The battle was over. The ancient predator lay defeated, its massive form dissipated into harmless cosmic dust. The Coalition fleet and the battered Dauntless hovered in the quiet void, a fragile calm settling like a soft blanket over the stars. On board the Vostrix, Admiral Vrek stood before his command crew, a new sense of purpose resonating in his voice. "This day marks the end of old rivalries," he declared. "The galaxy we once sought to control is bigger and more dangerous than any of us imagined. We face threats beyond our comprehension, and only through unity can we survive." Captain Malik's hologram appeared beside him, her eyes steady and hopeful. "We are not just survivors of our own worlds," Malik said. "We are the architects of our future, built on resilience, cooperation, and respect. The Dauntless may be battered, but her spirit, and the spirit of humanity, is unbreakable." Across the Coalition's ships, the mood shifted. Soldiers, technicians, and commanders exchanged cautious smiles. For the first time in a long time, hope glimmered brighter than fear. Malik stepped onto the Vostrix's bridge, her presence a symbol of a new alliance. She moved with a quiet strength, her eyes reflecting a determination forged in fire and loss. Admiral Vrek offered a clawed hand. "Captain Malik, you have not only saved your people, but opened our eyes to a new way of being." She grasped his hand firmly. "And you have shown us the strength of unity beyond blood or species," Lieutenant Corrin observed quietly. "This alliance will change everything. The Coalition, humanity, both will be stronger for it." As repairs began across, the fleet joint crews worked side by side, sharing technology and stories. Coalition engineers marveled at human adaptive AI and drone coordination, while human crews learned the vast strategic doctrines of the Coalition. Arya Singh, the human tactical officer, smiled as she monitored the melding of systems. "This is more than survival. It's evolution." In the days that followed, the Dauntless received transmissions from other human ships scattered across the galaxy, survivors who had escaped destruction. One by one, they began to respond, drawn by the beacon of hope the Dauntless had ignited. The Coalition opened trade routes and shared star charts, preparing for the inevitable challenges ahead. But the greatest change was in the hearts of those who had once stood as enemies. Captain Malik looked out at the stars from the Vostrix's observation deck. Beside her, Admiral Vrek spoke softly. "You once said your strength was not in technology but in your will. I believe it now." Malik nodded. "It is our will to survive, yes, but more than that, to live, to protect, to learn, to build something greater than ourselves." Vrek's gaze turned distant. "There will be more threats, more shadows beyond the stars, but now we will face them together." A new dawn was rising over the galaxy, a dawn of unity, resilience, and hope. The humans and the Coalition had seen each other's true strength, and in that recognition, they found a bond stronger than any weapon. As the Dauntless's battered hull gleamed faintly in the starlight, Captain Malik whispered, "We came not to conquer, but to survive, and together we will." The galaxy listened,